there's something I wanted to talk about a little bit because, man, there's just something crazy going on right now. And I think a lot of you guys know this in rap. Well, maybe it's not just rap. It's really all of music. But a ton of people, Ceramics, thank you for that Prime sub. I'm sure you've been seeing a ton of people have been selling their music rights. Like more specifically today, Quality Control sold basically all of their major artists to Scooter Braun's Hybe America, which I'm not familiar with what that is, but basically it says Quality Control Music, the Atlanta rap label, is one of the hottest hit machines in contemporary music, has been acquired by Hybe America, a company led by executive and talent manager Scooter Braun. I don't know if it confirms. Oh yeah, here we go. The purchase price was not disclosed, but it's estimated around $300 million. More so about Quality Control artists, we have Migos, we have Lil Baby, we have Lil Yachty, right? Pretty crazy, all right? It's pretty crazy. Like, I know a lot of people are saying 300 million is low. Before I expand into that, let's keep going. Justin Bieber sold his music catalog. Justin Bieber has sold his rights to his publishing and artist royalties from his song catalog. The deal is valued at $200 million. So $200 million for Justin Bieber is more than half of Quality Control as a whole. Pretty interesting. Earlier last year, Lil Wayne sold the entire Young Money catalog, including Nicki Minaj and Drake's music, for $100 million. Okay. And then Future joins a growing list of artists selling their publishing catalog and masters. And I don't think it says it in this article in particular, but I think there was a rumor that Future sold for $75 million. And anytime this happens, a lot of people kind of like immediately say, oh, it's not that much. You know, they didn't, that's not enough. And I want to touch on that real quick. A lot of people, first of all, we don't know all the nuances of these deals, right? We don't know if those are even the right prices. But for somebody like, for example, XQC, I almost said XQC. For QC, Quality Control, and for Young Money, we don't know what percentage of the music that the label has, right? So QC, every single artist on QC and every single artist on Young Money has a different deal with the label. So we don't know how much. So it's easy to say like, oh, Lil Baby alone would be worth, I don't know, 150 or whatever you said, right? Whatever you think it is. But at the end of the day, QC might not own Lil Baby's masters. So therefore, they don't have that much leverage, right? So we don't know all the nuances of the deal. And especially with Young Money, like, I'd imagine that Young Money doesn't have a lot of stock in Nicki and Drake, because I feel like Nicki and Drake have been not repping Young Money like outwardly for a long time. And Young Money has kind of just been a roller coaster of a label. So I'd imagine that whatever they do have, I would think that it's a small percentage, especially considering he only got $100 million. Like, I don't think Lil Wayne needs money that bad, right? To the point where he's like, oh, I'm going to totally undervalue Drake and Nicki Minaj, right? Like, they're the two biggest female artists, biggest male rap artists. Like, there's just no way that he would be lowballing, that he got lowballed and bullied into $100 million. Like, I just imagine that they probably didn't own a big percentage of their music, especially now, because they haven't been repping Young Money or doing maybe work with Young Money for what, maybe like 8. When's the last time you heard Drake say Young Money? Like 2014 maybe, right? So that's just one thing to consider when you see all of this. Also, another thing, like, You know, Justin Bieber selling for 200 million, Future for selling for 75 million. Yo, there's a huge misconception with money. Do you realize how, like, people say, oh, that's not enough. Do you know how much $200 million is? Like, I know we think that rappers have, like, this insane amount of money, right? But, like, first of all, it's kind of a facade, okay? It's kind of a facade. They're portraying themselves to be way richer than they are. Bro, I know you're not saying it, Jono, right? But a lot of people do. If you look at the top comments of any post, really? Damn, they're only selling it for that? Bro got scammed, bro got robbed. First of all, when you sell to a business, you have to understand that whoever's acquiring it also needs to make money, right? But bro, 200 million, 75 million, you're set. You're set for life, and you could still continue your lifestyle. Granted, if you buy a $40 million yacht and a $20 million home, all right, now. And I'm glad you said that, Kyoto, because, bro, don't most rappers get like 25% of what their music makes? Exactly. Justin Bieber is a great example of this, right? Because Justin Bieber is literally a product of the machine. Justin Bieber don't write his songs, okay? Justin Bieber don't produce his songs. Justin Bieber shows up to the studio, he records, and he puts out an album, and it's all made for him, right? He's a product of the machine. I'm not saying for his entire career, but definitely for a large portion of it. Which means that he doesn't probably own a lot of it, right? When I say he's a product of a machine, when you have an artist like that, a lot of the times he got in when he was super young. He just played the industry game. Who knows? He probably only owns 10, 15, maybe 20% of his music. So he sold just his portion for 200 million, which means the value, right? If you do the math, is 5 times that. So it's valued at $1 billion, which makes sense, right? That makes sense, because when we think Justin Bieber sold for 200 million, you're like, okay, Justin Bieber, his music is going to be played forever. I think he's always in the top 5 in monthly listeners on Spotify since Spotify has been around. He could easily do a world tour and probably sell it out tomorrow if he wanted to. So it makes sense. Like, 200 million does sound a little low, but we're only talking about his percentage. His percentage. So I would be hard-pressed for somebody to try and convince me that Justin Bieber owns more than 30% of his music. I don't think so. There's no way. When you have somebody that is signed to a label, and you're in with the majors and you're the biggest star in the world, you just have to sacrifice a lot. And most of the time, that's like 80 to 90% of your music, right? So just his percentage is probably what garnered him that much. But the thing that I wanted to end on with this little rant is why? Why is everybody selling? Why? I could flesh this out a little bit more, but my theory, it's not really my theory, it's what I know. There's not that much money in music anymore. Some people might want to look at it as like darker, like, oh, they know something bad is going to happen, something. I don't know, right? But what I know is there is not that much money in music, bro. We've watched the Spotify doomer videos. We've watched the, why streaming is destroying the industry. And we like to kind of sensationalize it, but it's kind of facts, bro. Like, streaming is ruining the money in music. It's good for new artists. It's good for independent artists. But streaming is ruining the music industry. Think about it. I've said it before, but like, motherfuckers used to just buy an album. Like $12, $10, $15. Imagine if you had to buy every single album you wanted to listen to. Imagine. Bro, every Friday we listen to like 6, 7 albums. Imagine if you had to buy them all, you wouldn't be able to, right? So music is more accessible, but that means that the artists are not getting as much money because you're technically paying for it by streaming it, right? But but I think it's like 150 streams equals like $1, right? Last year on my Spotify Wrapped, I didn't listen to one song 150 times. Not one. So I love music. You guys love music, right? Any of you that didn't listen to a song, if you listen to a song 150 times or less than 150 times, you did not pay $1 to any of your favorite artists, right? I mean, I guess if you listen to the same artist a bunch of times, right? But you get what I'm saying. It's so hard to make a fucking dollar. And then of that dollar, right? Only if you're independent are you getting 100%, but that's not including the producers and the engineers and the songwriters, right? So take that $1. Now you gotta split it up 5-6 ways. Bro, there's no more money in music. But if everyone had to buy singles again, that's why guys like Soulja Boy, Waka Flocka, Chamillionaire, Kesha, like a lot of those artists who popped off in the 2007 to like 2012 when iTunes was popping, bro, it was crazy because you had all of the access to the internet, right? You had all of the that immediate kind of being able to reach your fans. You have a website, you have a MySpace, you have a Facebook, whatever. Hey, go buy my single right there. People were more used to it, and that was the industry standard. For like 4 or 5 years, bro, people were getting rich as fuck. And forget the ringtones. That's a whole different thing. Ringtones were crazy, but just iTunes. Like, if we just went back to iTunes being the standard, because technically iTunes was still kind of the same model. It was just digital. You were still buying a single for $1 and you were buying an album for like $10 or, $8 or 12 or 15 or whatever. So even though you weren't getting a physical copy, you still owned the music, right? So you were still buying and supporting the artist. Now, obviously you still can do that, but it just doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that when you spend $10 a month on Spotify and get access to every fucking album? So there's just no more money in music, and I feel like a lot of people, a lot of these executives or a lot of artists are understanding that. And if you're an artist and you've already had such a long career like Future, like Justin Bieber, like Lil Wayne, Drake, whatever, why wouldn't you sell? Because your catalog is actually only going to go down the harder that it becomes to profit. So your catalog's only going to lose value. And this is dark, right? And I don't want to say it, but it's just the truth. Or you die. And then you don't get to reap the rewards of what you built. And it's like, you don't really want that, right? So a lot of people, there's just a huge misconception about money in music. And it's really going to be interesting to see what happens with all of these people selling their catalogs, because now it's just a bunch of venture capitalists that are just buying up the rights to all of these artists' music. And I don't know what's going to happen. It's a good time to be an independent artist and to grow, but it's not a good time to be a superstar. I don't really know if that's good or bad, but it's really interesting. And I think that kind of leads into another topic of like, where does the future of music go? Is there going to be another Drake? Is there going to be another like wave of mainstream of artists that boost into the mainstream? It's tough to say, man. It looks like it's not. It looks like it's not right now because ain't nobody popping off. A lot of people are apprehensive, and I think whoever is in charge of the music industry, I think they're plotting something. Because all these people selling, I don't know. They're plotting something. I don't know what's going to change. But it's kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy to think about. But yeah. All right. I think we can get into this game. Sorry I ranted a little bit, but I just thought that was really interesting. And I love talking about music money. Because always people are like, I don't know. I just feel like people are... there's a lot of misconceptions.